my presentation is going to be on Pavilion. Pavilion is a COM499 management software, basically counts for this as well. So the motivations for building this software was because there's a lot of manual process involved in the current COM499 management process. So what happens is a professor creates a doc, sends out the email to all of you saying that, oh, this is a verified COM499 doc. And then the computer science administrators look for those emails, manually track them, and then add them to the approved list of docs. And then there's even more tracking where the professor in your final year then goes on to look through your drive, verify that you have 10 documents, and then approve them. And lastly, this was also kind of for me since I maintain my notes in very different places. So sometimes I do it in Notes app, sometimes I do it in Google Docs, sometimes I do it in the folder, and they kind of spread out everywhere, and I tend to lose one or two of them. So I kind of wanted a centralized place where I could write down the notes for each of the COM499 approved docs. This was basically how the process of developing this application went. So I first sent out a Google form to collect feedback from professors and computer science administrators. And then the second part was designing the app in Figma. And the third part was developing the app. From the survey, I got an unintuitive feedback, or something that I didn't know before, was that in the final year of classes, your advisor might not be the one checking for COM499 requirements, so there's usually drive permission errors, and I wanted to integrate that feedback into the platform itself as well. So yeah, tech stack is resume-driven development, and I use Next14 with React Server components. Next14 works as a full stack application, so backend and frontend. I use Postgres for data persistence, Nextauth for authentication, and Vercel serverless functions. So I'll just get into real life demo. So basically, this is the landing page, nothing much, it's just very minimal. I'm currently signed in, but I've assigned my role as a professor. And if I go to dashboard, I see the list of students. The default filter is such that you only see the seniors, so class of 2024. But if I go and click on all of them, all the students show up, and you can see the notes that they have. Most of them have 0 progress done right now, except for one which says 1. And if I add a student, does anyone want to register on the platform? Can I get your name?
Sure, Sarah Reed.
Sarah?
With an H.
Right. Your email?
PRIGD.
PRIGD.
And then at console.
What's your class year?
2025.
So I'll be your advisor. Yeah. I've added you. And I can add an advisor as well. Professor Parker, do you want to do it?
Sure.
Yeah. What's your email?
Parker.
So you guys should have gotten an email if you check your phone.
I think we made a typo for it.
Oh, I made it like that.
That was PRIGGWG, but we accept.
Okay, it's fine. I have a student account already logged in, so I'll just use that instead. It might end up in the spam, so that's how you know you've been registered onto the platform. How it's structured, the authentication for this is that if you've not been invited to the platform, you can't log into it, because not all the students at Con are registered computer science majors. So yeah, this is the flow for the professors to check on the students. And if the professors say wanted to create a doc, they could just create a doc by going to the docs and then create a doc here. So I'll just create a doc. So once a doc has been created, it shows up on the docs list. And this docs will also show up on the student side as well as the professor's side. And if the professor is the rightful owner of the doc, they can delete the doc. I'm not deleting it for now. or they can also edit the talk. And that's mostly it for the professor side. I'll now move to the student side of things and how it looks there. So I'm currently registered in as Bunny. So if I go to talks, I'll see the talks list. And if I just refresh it real quick, I'll see the new talk which says being based with Jeff Bezos. And if I click on it, I'll see a rich text editor. So you can just fill in your notes here, say hello world. And because this is rich text, you can go Control V and then this is bold, or Control I, this is bold and italic. And it automatically saves it. I'll just give it 3 seconds just to be sure. And if I reload it, yeah, it's saved here. And now if I click on notes, it will show me my progress. So one of them has been approved, one of them has not been approved yet. So it shows you the list of what is there. And once the student has written the notes, the professors can see it immediately. So if I go here, and if I click on dashboard and then go all, and just wait for one eye to show up. So as you can see, it's 2 out of 10. And one thing to note here, it's in yellow because I implemented a simple algorithm which is kind of like, it factors in your class year and then your progress to see whether you're in the clear or whether you're not in the clear. So yellow is cautionary. It means Bunny here is class of 2025, but he only has 2 notes out of 10, which isn't good progress. But if you were a first year, say, and you had 1 note, that's pretty good progress, so it would show green for that. So if I click on Bunny now, and then I'll see all of his notes. If I see research seminar, the note has already been approved, so you can see approved has been, it's checked right here. And if I go on being based with Jeff Bezos, and I can approve the note here, so if I click on this, it will be approved. So if I go back, 2 of the 2 talks have now been approved, and if the student, on the student side, if you refresh it, 2 of the 2 talks have been approved. That's about it. I'll just quickly show the authentication process as well. So the auth side is configured with OAuth, so you can't log in just simply with any email. You have to log in with concall.edu email. So if I sign in here, oh, it got muted. Let me close this. So it routes you back to the Con authentication services. And over here, you just enter your Camel username and password, and then it will redirect you back. That's about it for the demo side of things. I kind of also wanted to talk about Next 14 and how cool it is. If any one of you has used React, I think this is really cool. So what you would have to do if you didn't use Next 14 would have initially been to use effect hooks and call your APIs in the use effect hook. And it's just this very tedious process, but with Next 14 now you can like directly declare an asynchronous function in your server and then immediately call your SQL from your React component, which I thought is really cool. And then you can just loop over it and then display the data. So this is actually from a snippet from my code base. And what's crazy about React Server Components is you're not just limited to the server side, you can also use the client side, and it's as easy as saying use client, and then you just, and this component is rendered on the client side. So in traditional applications such as PHP, if you're using server side, you're only limited to server side, which is why forms are tedious, and then interactive forms are even more tedious because you need JavaScript to enable that. But with React client components, it's React server components, it's like super easy to kind of meld both the worlds of client-side components and server components. So if anyone wants to check it out, I highly recommend it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that's about it if anyone has questions.